Will, welcome, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Dude, let's start off from the very, very top. How long have you been in the program? Where were you when you joined, and where have you gotten to today?
Yeah, so I joined the Consulting Blueprint CB in December 2022. 2021. So really, it was 12 months from then to now. Mm-hmm. And so when I jumped in, I was doing Facebook ads management. I guess my own little agency that I'd kind of started from scratch, and sort of was doing that for probably, I think it was about 2.5 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. So I was getting to a point, I'd been at a point where I was kind of maxed out capacity wise. I didn't have any ambitions to build like a big agency or anything like that. That just wasn't really what I wanted to do, staffing and all that sort of thing. I mean, I had a couple of contractors, but it didn't appeal to me to keep building that part of the business. And I also saw the future vision. I'd obviously had exposure to other people and whether it was programs, just to know the evolution of the consultant, to be able to kind of scale up, was doing the Done With You. And so that was how I jumped into CB. And it was actually from, it was one of your posts in ClickFunnels, and I may have just liked or commented. I got a message from you, and I was like, I'd literally never seen you before or spoken to anyone before. And so, yeah, naturally I kind of went down, had a conversation with you, and I don't even know if it was you back. It probably was you back then still.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. But it was completely natural and comfortable and everything like that. And, you know, it's interesting to observe, because especially in sales and things like this, like I'm so aware of tactics and stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, if you've got like a want and a desire, you're still entertaining the prospect of, you know, what if, right? And so I was completely open-minded. And I'm pretty sure over like maybe a day or two, I kind of went through a bit of your content and I saw some stuff. I think it was like a VSL, and I had noticed that you had coached somebody that I knew about from whenever or wherever. And that was really impressive, because I knew that the level that they were at. And so I'm pretty sure, yeah, within 24 hours, I kind of came back and said, hey man, did you coach him? And he's like, yeah, he's doing well and all this. And we booked in a time to chat. So I reckon I kind of signed up to CB within maybe a couple of days. And it was really, as I say, with my intent purpose, like I was super determined, super focused, that I knew I needed to get out of the Done For You. I didn't even know what the Done With You looked like, but that was where I felt comfortable you guys could help me. So yeah, that was December 21. And then I basically just hammered out all the content, you know, did what was necessary to just get through all that and jump on the group calls and get help from the coaches as well, which was really great. But then I did get to probably 4 months in, and I was getting, you know, a little bit concerned that things weren't moving as fast as I would like. And that's when I reached out, to you personally. We caught up for a chat, and I was like, man, I almost like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, kind of thing. And yeah, from there we obviously teed up, and you invited me to the SB. So that was March. And at that point I hadn't developed, you know, even though the course content definitely allows you to do it, I just hadn't had the confidence, I suppose, to create an offer, or maybe I was a bit kind of topsy-turvy with what that looked like. My kind of strategies and things were just sporadic, and I just literally still had no idea. And so I felt that I needed that specific one-on-one guidance, which is obviously, you know, what you sort of provided. So, so from December to March was kind of that weird sort of phase. March, I got my head screwed on. We started working together personally, and we started to just step through the full process. Yeah, so March 2022, and then I signed up my first client in June. So that was still 3 months, you know, of us working together, getting, I mean, you remember, man, I was literally starting from zero on everything. Like, it was completely new for me, and rolling those
pretty
things
much completely from scratch with a new offer, new niche, new everything. Yeah,
exactly. And so literally, I reckon every time that we caught up, it was more just, I mean, I kind of had an idea of the tactics and things like that, but it was definitely getting, you know, clarity and on sort of the next steps, but also more so what I required was probably just that, almost like that cheerleader. Like, I don't want to put you down in any way, but it was like, I just needed to know I was on the right track, and I needed to hear it from someone like you, or somebody who'd done what I wanted to do. And so that was just purely confidence. And so from that experience, even just in those first 3 months where I probably took, nothing crazy, but I probably took, I think it was 17 calls before I closed, one out. Right. Like that was another skill I had to build up, was the sales.
And I want to hang on that for a sec. Like, a lot of beginners get into this and they like take 3 and they don't close. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's not going to work for me. You took 17.
Yeah.
You took 17 calls. Like, and I don't want to skip to the end of your story, but like, and who knows how this will get edited up and cut up and everything. I don't want to skip to the end. Like, you did 50 grand in December. Like, there's a reason you earned your steak. You know what I mean? Like, I remember a lot of the help that we were providing you was just like on the sales front. It was just like, all right, you're booking these meetings. Like, no, don't say this, do say this, try it this way, do it like that. And just like all those little course corrections. And I know from experience that when we get a student to that place of like they're just booking meetings and you're just consistently learning how to run those meetings, that's when we do the deepest work for them, because they start to have breakthroughs in how they think about what they do and how they think about their prospects and everything. So yeah, 17-0, and then you had a breakthrough.
Yeah, exactly right. What you just mentioned is absolutely correct. We were just refining that. I mean, stuff that's natural for you and the other guys, on the team that you would say, like I would literally get the meeting recordings of us talking and review it and literally write down word for word what you guys would say, even though you're rolling off the cuff. And so I would put that then into the script. And then every single day I would practice the script, whether it was a call or not, I would just practice it just so that, so I would read it hundreds of times before, I would have calls or close calls. And so I think that was probably a really significant thing with just my development generally, in that, like, I'm more of a student and I've always been good at being a student, like at school and whatnot, but being like execution is probably like where I sort of struggled. But what I sort of felt, and I guess what you kind of ingrained in me, was like, you do enough of these things, you get the reps in, even if it's not at 100%, it might be clunky. You just kind of get through that season, as you like to say, and you definitely just get better at all these things. And that was certainly sales. So yeah, it was 17-0, and then that was June. So I closed 2 in June after sort of 3 months. And then I had our second baby in July, which I knew was coming, and I really wanted to get things sorted before, the second baby. So July was sort of just quiet in terms of, I had maybe a week off and then we lose a bit of momentum. So July, closed a couple more in August. And then, as kind of October, I probably did, even just 3 clients in October. Then November was kind of 4 or 5 maybe. And then, it was kind of 50K. So that's probably equivalent to sort of 7 or 8 clients in December, which was, it was super exciting. But, you kind of, how hard I was gunning for it. Like, it was just to have that goal, that deadline. I felt that the 12-month mark was very kind of romantic as well. I was absolutely over the moon, of course, man. So I couldn't do it without you.
I appreciate it, dude. It's the respect and appreciation is very mutual, man. I love having clients like you that just like I think there's a nature to people who really win in our program of just like a lot of obsessiveness, like reading between the lines, like, okay, they said that, why did they say that? Like, and really digging in, and like you said, you recited the script almost daily, you know what I mean? And you really let that thing sink into the way that you treated your prospecting calls, and dude, that's why you earned it. Like you do what we told you to do in the most extreme of senses of like, all right, like they have this perspective on the script and sales. Like, I'm going to take that and I'm going to really work to ingrain it, because a lot of people, they want those quick, easy solutions, but I mean, like, we have a bucket of them. Like, there's like little things that we can do to get you a quick return, and like, sure, we can do that. But like Will's scenario of like pretty much new offer, new niche to 12 months later, closing out at a $50,000 month. Like, dude, I mean, that doesn't come with shortcut little things. Like, you were building the habits, building the skills that we were having you build. And I don't know, man, it's very, I admire it. And we want to see as much of that as possible from students, because like, that's just the reality of it. It's like, we've been through the trenches, we've been through the ringer, we know how to make this work. And I mean, you had a student's mindset from day one. So what would you say, like, it kind of felt like to close off December at 50,000, man? Like, looking at, like, was it proper 50,000, or was it like 45? Like, I just make sure being accurate. Like, what did you close at December at properly?
No, it was 50K in revenue on the nose. Yeah. And it's just funny how your kind of mind works like that when you've got a target in mind, right? Like, I mean, I started the month really with quite a lot of sales calls, and the way that mine have been going, and this is, you know, purely reflective in probably my attitude as well with how I invest in things where, you know, I may not close necessarily on a call. Well, I probably wouldn't occasionally, most of the time, and I didn't on both CB and SB, right? But I am a serious prospect, and so when I say I'm going to think about it and we'll get back to them, I'm honest with that, and so they're a lot of the people that I kind of attract as well. Having said that, I probably had three or four out of the 7 or 8 that closed on the call and paid up front, kind of thing. But I had a number of calls up early in the month. I think I only had I had 17 calls, right? So my close ratio is pretty good, and that's kind of always been my bottleneck, is probably the volume of calls, because I know that once I get people on calls, then I'm quite good closing. But so what happened was that I closed a few up front and on the spot, and then probably with the deadline was kind of Christmas, right? So like in that final week, I was waiting on, I think there was 5. I was waiting on 5, and I think 3 of them dropped in that final week, and I was at 47K, and then I'm like, man, I got to pull one out of somewhere. I remember messaging you, and I said, I'm at 47, got 3 to go, and so I basically just went back to all my old contacts, all my old prospects, and a guy who I reckon he was literally one of my first sales calls in March or April. He said no initially, and then he was a great guy. He's a veteran. He donates all his profits to organizations, RSLs and things. And he was always like, when I've got the money, I'll invest. And I said, man, look, special exception. I'm happy to do my 5K program for 3 to hit that 50. And he was over the moon. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So literally at 4:30, basically Christmas Eve, I closed him out and got the 50. And so, like, honestly, I mean, I'm sure you can recall your your milestones as you hit them as well. Like I was almost lost for words. Like it was like, I wouldn't say the right word is like emotional in the sense of like, I wasn't overwhelmed or anything, but I had been envisaging this for years, but more specifically in the last, 12 months of like just hitting 50. And then when it comes, it's like, it is overwhelming. Like it's insane. And so, I was absolutely pumped, and my wife and we celebrated our little family, and it just meant everything, to be honest.
That's amazing. What was your wife's first impression, if you don't mind me asking? Like, you hit 50, what was her thoughts? She was pumped. I mean, I talk, as I say, I've been talking about it for so long, and she's my number one fan. And she probably was more like, yeah, I told you so, or like she was more like expecting it to happen, As I say, as a number one supporter, she keeps me pretty level, and she rides the bumps with me, and so she's just been incredible. So she was super excited for me, because she know how much that meant to me, as well. So it's a huge milestone, dude, and I think a lot of people don't have that person that's all the way in their corner. I think we're both very lucky to have that, of like, somebody who really gets it and gets the sacrifices we're making, and is riding the waves with us, like you said. But it's amazing, dude. You've had an incredible journey, and I think you're a testament to like what it really means to go all in with us. I mean, we have a proven system. Our process is built intentionally to create people like you from that 0 level. I mean, granted, you have a little bit of experience running an agency, but it is a very different model. Like, you realize you had to learn a whole new way of positioning and the offer, and a whole new niche, and a whole new industry and everything. And dude, it's pretty phenomenal to see what's come of it. So what would you say, like, let me ask you this. Back when you were first getting started, and you went off to think about it, what were you thinking about? Is my curious thing. What was it that you were considering that was like, oh, I gotta think about like this versus that, or what was there for you to think about? Because I think a lot of people, they are on the fence with us, and I imagine it's something like you just wanted to ask yourself, honestly, could I really go all in on this? But I'm just curious to hear what that is, because we've got a lot of people that are in that situation. We've got like probably 50 people in that situation at a given time, dude. Like, they just like know they got to do this. They're not really sure. It's just they're considering a lot. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, great question. I think we all do, in this, well, whenever we're dealing with clients and prospects, we all definitely have people on that, in that realm. Yeah, like I said, I'm completely honest when I say to people I need to think about it. And I think that was probably a skill that I learnt or had to learn when I had my ecom business, that we just don't make decisions on the spot for big investments, such as this. And so that was one thing that I do take seriously. And so it wasn't like it was a quick decision when I was thinking about it. The first thing I always chat to my wife about it, because it's our money, right? So that was the first thing that I consider. And the second thing, I just mostly, she basically always just says yes, like she's fine if she trusts me. So what was going through my mind was not the amount of money. In fact, investing with you in SB was the quickest decision probably I've ever made. It was more like, what have I got to lose and what's the upside? It's all upside, right? Like, how long is it going to take me to get my money back? That's probably the only question that I need to ask. And I come from the perspective of that it's all my responsibility anyway. I think that's a really important thing for anything to do with your life generally, but I've always taken responsibility. Whenever I feel like something's not working, it's not the program, it's not somebody else, it's not the economy, it's not the government, it's me, right? And so that's how, as I say, we had that conversation back in March around SB. I wasn't saying this program isn't working. It was like, dude, I'm struggling. I'm not sure what's going on. I know it's me. Like, help me out here, sort of thing. So going through my mind about decision and signing up to the program, I honestly, didn't have to think too much about the money. It was more just, going all in. Like, make sure you're going to get your money's worth, if that's kind of what people sort of think, by doing the work. That's how you get the money's worth, and it can happen, quicker than what you think, for sure.
100%. What do you think? So, I mean, in the past 12 months, you've gone from 0 to closing December out at 50,000 in sales. Like, what do you think contributed to that happening, and what role do you think CB played in making that happen for you?
Oh, it played every role in hitting 50K a month. Literally, I had nothing to go off. I had no understanding of how to run a business, how to sell, how to create the offer. And so, it had absolutely everything to do with it. And when I kind of look back, like, as I said before, I always consider myself a student, even with a successful ecom business, we're in the same point. Almost, I attribute my success to naivety, right? Naivety and persistence and continually learning. And so, like I mentioned with, reading the script, like basically every day, like I'd say every day, it was on my list every day. I would look at the course content every day, right? I'd have it running in the background when I'm doing my exercises in the morning. Like, I would be just a continual student, and you pick something up every time, some nuance. I would watch your YouTubes a lot, and same thing. Something that gets brushed over that is absolute gold. And I find this with my content as well sometimes. It's like, oh man, I hope people listen to that point. But it's easy to brush over until you hear it 2-3 times. So, you might hear some content in CB, and then you watch, a YouTube of your content or something like that, and you hear it again, you're like, okay, now I've got to pay attention to that. So I think just any spare moments that I had, I was trying to improve, basically. That's probably the first thing. I was just continually trying to learn and improve. The second thing was, and this is no coincidence at all, but in October, when I said that's when it kind of started to cascade with, my sales and results, was I did burn the boats on the ads management, because I was still running that, remember? And you were like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, you didn't tell me that. I was like, bro, no wonder it's taken you 12 months and not 4. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think I can relate that to, probably people who are on the fence with something else and hedging, right? Not wanting to burn a sure thing kind of thing for the risk, but in my mind, the potential upside. And so what I can share there, and this is not the first time this has happened, when I've made a conscious decision to stick to or commit to one thing over something that I'm currently doing, which is comfortable, right? Like my agency, as I say, it was just me. I was doing about 15 to 20K a month. It was comfortable. And so to give that up consciously for the blue sky, yeah, was challenging. But then by sort of October, when we had been through so much together and, you know, what you say is true and works, I was like, I just have to shut my eyes and just do it. And so literally I messaged or emailed or texted my clients and said, look, at the end of this month, you know, we're done. We're done, not in that, like we had good relationships, but like, yeah, this is the direction I'm going in. And I would say by the end of that week, or even a few days after that conscious decision, not even giving up the management, as just the decision and giving notice, that I think I signed 2 clients for my consulting business in that week. And so then I'm looking at it like, okay, so I'm foregoing 20K a month and I've just done 10 with 2 clients. Like, why didn't I do this earlier? Right. And I think that's probably, yeah, in the terms of the decision, why didn't I do this earlier, comes up quite a lot. But I also believe that things happen when they happen. And as I say, as long as you got your eyes open and continuing to move forward, there's no failures. It's just, yeah, you just need to go through the alphabet to get from A to Z. Like, I'm a massive believer kind of in that, and they just happen for you when they do, and you do your best to expedite them as much as you can.
Totally. It's great. It's great advice. And I do think, I remember giving you that advice. It was like, yeah, you need to cut out this other business. Like, it's funny, like in the intro section of CB, like one of the first things I'm like, yeah, like, don't run another business. Like, you can't hedge. There's no hedging. Like, if you want to build something good, you don't build anything good while hedging. You know what I mean? Like, you build something good while going all in. And it's easier said than done for sure. But once it is done, then you see the results of it really quickly. It's like one of the easiest pieces of advice to give to my students. It's like, well, do you have more than one business? They're like, yep. I'm like, well, cut them and do one. And it's like, that piece of advice has made our students more money than I think like any other piece of advice combined, because it's just like so obvious and but it's just like a hard thing to really like let sink in for a lot of people, because it's like a big commitment. But dude, what would your advice be to somebody who is at that stage? You know, they've got a new niche, a new offer, new angle. Like, what do you think somebody should do to replicate similar results to yourself? I mean, you know, 12 months and 0 to 50K, like that's an amazing pace. Like, that's life changing. It's hopefully, you know, paradigm shifting for you, and it shows you what is possible. What would your advice be to those people who are trying to replicate results like yours?
Yeah, I'd say mainly just get started and keep going. You know, like we tried. I mean, a lot of different, not a lot of different strategies. It was more the strategies that you guys teach in CB and SB, but just persisting with it. And, you know, as the example I just gave, the last client I signed up in December to hit 50, I had spoken to him back in kind of March, April. And so that is testament to consistency with being present in the marketplace, becoming an authority, I would like to think, over time, and showing, I guess, my brand or my personality or my approachability and results about what I can help them with over time. So I think that is definitely one skill that I've got, is just persistence and grinding, basically. Doing the same thing day in, day out is a skill, but it's also a curse when you don't kind of review, you know, what you're doing. If you're doing the wrong things for a long period of time, obviously it's the same thing. But yeah, I would say honestly, just persist and iterate and get that feedback loop going, and just keep going. You know, try things for significant enough periods of time that you can get the data. And that was, again, one thing that you guys taught definitely, was get the data back, let the data tell the story and give you the feedback. And then you can iterate and improve from there. I just think that there's definitely no failures. And that's, again, probably a skill that I've learned through starting my ecom business. And we took 5 years to get going, almost, like to about a, you know, a really good level. And so I brought that into, this exercise as well, where it's like, I literally said to my wife, I was like, before I signed up to SB, I was like, success is inevitable with this program, right? Like, that's what I believe. It's not this smoke and mirrors magic potion. It's like, if you just got the right formula and the right guidance, it's literally inevitable. Like, you can't not succeed with this program. Like, I truly believe that. And so that's something that I take into my students. You know, if you've got this roadmap, if you've got this blueprint, you can't not succeed. Like, what else do you need to know? Like, and I honestly say that. So yeah, I forgot the original question, but that's kind of the way I've worked through it, is just literally get going and persist, right? And iterate as you go. They're probably the three things. Yeah.
It's good, dude. No, it's brilliant, dude. I mean, man, I don't know if there's much more to go over. This has been an amazing interview. I like to keep it short and sweet. You know, you have an incredible story. You've achieved a lot in a relatively short amount of time. I guess I'll leave it here, man. Is there anything about I don't know, is there anything that you want to close off with? Because a lot of people are going to be watching this and they're going to be inspired by your story. They're going to be inspired by what you've created, and they're also going to be looking at our programs and wondering if it's the right fit for them. Is there anything that you kind of want to leave off just as an open-ended question?
Yeah, I think honestly, if you are thinking about it, if you're on the fence, if you want to change something in your life and you know that this is the path you want to go down, just honestly jump in and do it, because you won't know otherwise. And the money becomes completely irrelevant, you know, once you get those wheels turning. And so, yeah, I'd literally just say, jump in. You know, I think that your program has been incredible. The support, the coaches have been world class, and the money is just a drop in the ocean of what you can obviously, you know, do and achieve. So yeah, I just want to obviously thank you and the guys. And I honestly think it's just the beginning, you know, with the conversations we're having. It's almost mind blowing again, you know, looking at that 6-figure months this year, hopefully. So
I have no doubt you did it. I think you do things right. By July, I think you'll be there. I think June or July, I think you'll be there. Honestly, I do. I 100% do. And the reason I say June or July is because I think one of the skills that you may have or may not have, I'm not really sure, is just like hiring, team training, culture, and like just keeping people really bought in. And like, I mean, we had that 100K a month profit call for the mastermind yesterday. And like, I think you could do it as a one-man show, but like, you've got a wife and a kid. Like, you're very different. Like, I was able to do that because I was like 20 or 21 or whatever it was. And like, I like not even engaged or anything, like sort of seriously dating. That's it. Like, I just focus in. But I think for you, man, you might have to think about building some leverage into your business, and that might be a new skill set for you to develop. So, but yeah, I think you can very well do it, man. I have no doubt you'll be doing 6-figure months this year. The path is extremely clear. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I just literally on what you just said, and this is something that I may have just heard in your 2.0, and it resonated with me for sure. When I signed up to CB, but particularly SB, I think what was, you connected with me in the sense of why I signed up was because you actually believed in me and what I could do. Literally, that's all I needed to really hear, right? Because then you became like just a partner in my business and my success. And so that's definitely what got me over the line, that you believed and could see the path for me. And that's what made the success inevitable. And so, like, I can't thank you enough for that, because that was life-changing. So
absolutely, dude. It's a calling, bro. It's really cool to see, man. And I very much a mutual appreciation relationship. Well, let's get you to 100, man. I won't take more of your time. Get back to work. Let's get you to 100. We'll do another interview at that point.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to mentor directly underneath me and learn all the strategies that we've implemented into our students' businesses to help over 100 people reach 6 figures a year, 100 to $999,000 a year, and over, I think it's 15 students as of January 2023 to $1 million a year or more, then I want you to go ahead and schedule your completely free consultation with us. There's no pressure to make a decision. We're not going to force your hand. We're just trying to figure out what it is that you need in order to take that next step to either start your online consulting or coaching business in any niche, any industry, or take your existing consulting or coaching business and really scale it to that next level in order to really sustain a business, put a lot of money in the bank very quickly, and serve a lot of people. Okay, so you can use the pinned comment on this video, or if you're listening on our podcast, go to treycockrum.com/schedule-page and you can check out that page. It's just a simple schedule page. If you fill out a form and we want to know a bit about you, a bit about where you're coming from and what's motivating you to even speak with us so that we can make sure we give you the best options. And if we notice that you're honestly not in the best place to get started, whether that's financially or time constraints or otherwise, we'll make some other suggestions to you, okay? Our reputation is everything to us, so we're only going to really make offers to people we know for a fact that we can help. And even if we don't make you an offer, it will still be some of the best 45 to 60 minutes you've spent on your business this year, because you're going to get a custom strategy and be told exactly what you should do next. Okay, so book your free consultation using the link in the description or in the pinned comment, or if you're listening on a podcast, TreyCockrum.com/schedule-page. See you there.